What is up, everyone? It's Taylor Brosk here. And yes, it has been quite a while since I've been on YouTube, and I'm going to go over that in this video. Now, I'm not going to go over everything. I'm going to try and keep this more in the automotive region, but if you guys want to see a more extended and in-depth version of what I went through, I'll have that video up later on my second channel, which I'll put a link to in the description. But yeah, I'm going to go over in this video what exactly happened, what's been going on, and what the future has in plans. So with that, let's get right into it with how this all started and why it all started. Now, with what's been going on, and I have to apologize for the background noise. It is currently over 80 degrees Fahrenheit here, and I've got a little fan and a big fan, and my new air conditioning unit is here, and I'll show you guys that later. But you are going to hear some background noise. That's what that is. It's either that or I'll literally melt and probably not be on here again for a while. So, anyway. Now, with what's been going on, so if you guys have been following me for quite a while now, you will know that 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with a bowel disease called ulcerative colitis, and that is where I'm going to try and keep this simple, but basically I'm trying to, it's really hard to explain what it is, but it's like someone took acid and completely ruined my digestive system. More specifically, my large intestines are completely ruined. Well, they were completely ruined. We are on the healing for it right now, but that is what's mainly been going on here is with that. Now, what happened is that I noticed that I was using the bathroom quite a lot more than I often was, which sometimes is normal when you have this disorder, but in this case, it was a lot more frequent than it normally was. And also, again, I'm trying not to say things that will get me demonetized. Basically, I was upchucking every single morning, and I was starting to get excruciating muscle and bone pain. Basically, I was getting like real stiff to where all my joints and everything hurt. Like a lot. And I was coping with it until this happened. I say this happened, but I had already called off for 2 days with what was going on. And at this point, it was a Wednesday. And I was sitting in my room like I usually do. But it literally felt like I had 2 metal rods, one going from this shoulder to that shoulder, and one going all the way down my spine. I couldn't move at all, and I normally sit in like this normal office chair whenever I'm at home, but in this case I moved to the recliner that is in my room. And to give you guys an idea on how much pain I was in, I couldn't get out of that chair. I literally got in it and I got stuck. I couldn't get out of this thing at all. It was so bad, and I'm not blaming anyone for this, but my mama and grandpa were out. I knew that they were gone. But it was just me at the house by myself. I got in this chair, I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't. And so I had to call the person closest to me at the time, because I live in Mitchell. My grandma and grandpa were out of town. They were in Bedford, so they were like almost about 20 to 25 minutes away. But my dad is chief of police, and this was about the time that he was getting off in Mitchell, so he was only about 10 or 15 minutes away. So I called him. Luckily, I had my phone with me, because if I didn't, I genuinely would have been stuck in that chair for who knows how long. So either way, I call him, and the problem was that the doors were locked. I don't know why, but all the doors were locked. I couldn't get out of this chair, literally to save my life. And my dad's there trying to get in. Luckily, we had a spare key. It was just the case of finding it. And he gets in there. I can't get out of this chair at all. Like, at all. I can't stress you guys how difficult this was. I could not. I was glued to this thing. He finally gets in the house, gets in there, and I'm screaming in pain. And at that moment, I'm just like, get me to the ER. So he literally almost has to carry me outside to his car, which getting in that thing was painful. And we finally went to the ER. Now, Dad had to go back to work. So we went to IU in Bedford, which they do an amazing job. But I was there, I don't know what, I think this was about, I want to say 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I was there, I was in the emergency part of IU for probably, I'd say, 9 or 10 hours. Which was fine for me, because they finally gave me something to get the pain to go down. It finally did, and I was actually able to relax. But I told them what had been going on beforehand with my colitis and my upchucking and blood and all that stuff. Which, to bear in mind, I was upchucking blood. Yeah. So basically what was happening, they find out I was throwing up blood, and that's what really had them concerned. And they kept me overnight. They kept me there. They kept me in the hospital for 3 days. 2 nights and 3 days. And that was an experience. I had never been in a hospital overnight before. But yeah, I was in the hospital for 2 nights and 3 days. The first night was this night, because that morning, to give you guys an idea on how drained I was, whenever they have you, how can I explain this? So, this is very difficult to talk about, but they were basically going to clean me out so that they can see inside of me. Basically, I had a colonoscopy. And to give you guys an idea on how drained and empty I was, I'm pretty sure that all that went through me whenever I did the prep for it was the prep itself. There was nothing else in there. Like, I was completely empty. Completely empty. Like, I don't know what I was running on at this point. At this point, I could feel it, because it was at this point where every time I stood up, I felt like I was going to faint. It is really hot in here. So yeah, that was the second day. It was just a lot of tests to a lot of it was mainly tests on what was actually going on inside me, which was what they call extreme colitis. And that was to where I was all flared up. Like everything that was involved with my colitis was flared up. It was all active. It was all irritated. And it was just completely out of control. So that's what was going on. And another thing that was going on was, I don't know how this happened, but my foot on my second toe, right next to my big toe, got scratched or something, and it got infected like crazy. Like super infected. Obviously I can't show you guys what it looked like on here. You'll have to go. I don't know if I can even post it on social media in general. But basically, my second toe right next to my big one on my right foot was basically the size of my big toe. And not a clue. We don't even know how it happened, but we think it got, like, I scraped it on something and it just somehow got a huge infection. I don't even know how it happened because, I mean, I knew it was there. I knew I had scratched it on something, but it wasn't a big deal at the time because at that point it just looked like a normal scratch. But while I was in the ER, that thing escalated. It got probably 10 times worse than any of us thought it would be. And that's what made me stay there for the third night, for the third day. But basically, by day 3, I had calmed down enough to where I could leave, to where I didn't have to be in the hospital anymore. But I didn't come here. I went to my mom and dad's house. Mainly because I couldn't move at all. Like, everything on me hurt super bad. Like, everything on me, I say on me, every inch of me hurt like crazy. Every single joint, muscle, everything hurt. Like, it was like I felt like everything was like bone on bone. There was no cushion there at all. And I would come here to my house, but if I had to move, if I had to do anything, it'd be my grandparents that would have to help me. And I've lost a lot of weight, but that's still quite a lot for them to handle. So I went to mom and dad's to where if this didn't happen, they could actually help me out. And that is where I stayed for about a month and a half. Yep, I was stuck at my mom and dad's house for a month and a half. That was a lot. And earlier on, whenever I said that I couldn't get out of a chair, they didn't have an extra bed or anything, so I thought I'll just sleep on the couch. It was flat, it was level, it was all that stuff. I don't think I got an hour in to lay on that couch before I was literally crying with pain. Like, I was probably a 5-year-old. I was in so much pain. So I couldn't even roll myself off the couch. I was stuck in, unlike the chair, to where I didn't have an option to, like, roll out of it or stand up or anything like that. I couldn't move at all. I couldn't even roll myself off the couch. I was stuck. And even when mom and dad came in there to actually, they were trying to pull me up. That was agony. Like seriously, that was agony. Even just trying to get up was excruciating amount of pain. Like I've never felt that much pain in my life before. I genuinely thought I was either going to have to I thought we were going to have to call an ambulance at one point because I couldn't get out of this couch. My mom and dad couldn't lift me out of it. I didn't know how I was getting up. Like I genuinely didn't know, and then finally hurt like you would not believe. They finally managed to to get me on my side at least, to where I could then kind of sit up. To where I could at least sit down like I normally would. And oh my gosh, I downed probably so much pain medicine you would not believe, just to get me to like a calm state. And then I was confined to a recliner. By confined, I literally do mean confined. The only time I left that thing was to use the bathroom. That was it. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything except hobble to the bathroom, and that was as far as I could get. I couldn't even go into the kitchen and get a drink out of the fridge. I couldn't. For 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I couldn't even go to the kitchen to get. I couldn't go to the kitchen to get anything. I couldn't get up to get the remote. I couldn't get up to save my life. And if I did, it took me at least 50 tries just to get out of the chair. It took me that much. That's how much pain I was in. It took me like 50 attempts just to get out of the chair. Like, I'm annoyed with how difficult that was. And another thing, to give you guys an idea on how long I was stuck in this thing, obviously I was eating and everything, trying to get some of my weight and everything back on. Excuse me. The problem was all the water that I was taking in was pooling in my legs. Like, my legs were literally expanding because all the water and hydration that I was getting was pooling in my legs. And because of that infected foot, I couldn't walk on it for very long. I think the furthest I walked within those 2 weeks was maybe 20 feet. 20 feet at best. And looking back on it now, that was terrible. Like, really terrible. But yeah, I literally had, they told me it was water, but basically any type of liquid that I drank or had was pooling in my legs. Because the whole time I'm sitting, not moving, just sitting, and it was to the point to where I could barely get my shoes on. Like, they had swelled up that much. And I dealt with that for probably 2 or 3 weeks. It wasn't until like a month and a half in that I was finally up and actually moving. Which, if this happens to you, I really hope it's not around It's not around the May, June, or July area because it's still so hot. I've got 3 fans in here and an air conditioning thing going, and look at me. Like I'm literally polishing the truck with my sweat. But yeah, and also I didn't leave the house for a good 5 weeks. 5 weeks. The very first time I left the house to actually do something was, I think I actually had to go, I think it was towards the end of, it might have been towards the end of May or just the beginning of June, because my car insurance and regular insurance is due at the beginning of every month, and I couldn't pay for it at the time until I went to the bank. So the very first time I left the house was when I went to go to the bank, and even that was a struggle. Like just walking to the car and going there, I'm so thankful for drive-thrus, because if I had to get out, I probably would have been back in hospital. I was that weak, it was that hot, and there was just so much going on. Like, it was ridiculous. And basically, not a lot happened after that, apart from just me genuinely trying to get my strength back and everything. I mean, I was out of work for 6 weeks. Literally, I just went back to work last week. I'm halfway into this week, and it's a struggle. It really is a struggle, but that's what's going on health-wise for me. But you guys want to see what's going on with the cars, so we'll get into that. The C10, it's literally the exact same way as we left it on the last video, because the week that I was supposed to thrash on this thing is when everything went off the rails. So this is still in the same, it's still in the same way from when we last left it. Nothing has changed at all, which I'm ashamed to say, and it will probably be like that for a while, at least until this heat dies down, because this heat, wait, I'm telling you, this heat, I am not good with heat, as you can see. But yeah, the C10, nothing has changed. That will be changing soon. I will be back on it. I will be back on this later, but it is going to wait. The Jag, again, nothing has changed on it. Nothing. The only thing that has changed is I took the battery out and it's in there on the charger to make sure it doesn't go bad. But other than that, it's been sitting here as is. I've literally haven't been able to do anything with it. The charger has literally been a lifesaver, because I've had to start daily driving this because of what happened to the Honda, which I'll get onto that here in just a second. So it is a little later in the day. It's still the same day. The only thing I've changed was my shirt, because as you guys saw, my last shirt got ruined. But the Honda is right here. And yeah, so as you guys saw in the last clip that you just saw, this thing overheated on me big time, and I just managed to get it here before it overheated again, and it actually conked out on me right there, and I had to coast it in right here. It's not really in an ideal place because with all the storms that we've had recently, and this is underneath a tree. And evidenced by the potential danger, but we are going to be diving into this. Probably later on, because I can't deal with this heat, man. Like, seriously, this heat is putting everything to a grinding halt. But Honda's still here. We're going to see if we can fix it, but as of right now, fate is unknown. But it is here. We are going to try and fix it, but it's not looking too good. The Charger, on the other hand, has been a workhorse. There was one slight issue where the driver front brake caliper locked up the day I got it back on the road after, I think, 2 months of sitting. But other than that one hiccup, it does get slightly a little warm, like just a little over half. I'm hoping that's just because of the ridiculous weather we've had. But other than that, it has been a true workhorse. It does need an oil change, which I will do tomorrow, but true workhorse. I'm keeping this car forever. It doesn't matter. This is my forever car. I'm keeping it. And that's going to do it for this video. I am at Mom and Dad's house. That is the couch that I got stuck in. And this is the chair that I was stuck in for about 2 weeks. So, yeah, we've ended right where this all started. I'm here because I'm getting this last bit of footage to finally get this uploaded. And, yes, there will be videos up again for me soon. Just do not expect weekly. It's just whenever I get them done and get them out, I will post on here when they will be coming out, but don't expect frequent yet. I'm hoping to get back on that track later on, but right now it's just going to be when they're done. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.